Welcome to the channel and welcome to this review video of Warhammer 40,000 Mission Pack Tempest of War that GW have very kindly sent me free of charge for your reviewing pleasure. Please excuse my friend over my shoulder. That's just a little bit of Batman art on my kitchen wall. I was going to do this pointing at my table with the cards, and then I thought, no, the best way of doing this is just talking to camera. And I was sat down here and I didn't want to go back upstairs. And anyway, try and ignore that guy. Ignore that guy. So, what is Tempest of War? Okay, so first off, Tempest of War is a matched play device. And regular viewers will be surprised that I am reviewing a matched play product because I am mostly a narrative / open play person. Hello, Lemmy. I can do this. I can do this with cat distraction. Just have a look here and say hi to the folks. Come on, say hi to the folks. No? Are you indifferent to the folks? Yes, you're indifferent to the folks. Okay, so the best way of describing this is if 9th Ed Matched Play got together with 8th Ed Maelstrom of War and had a baby, it would be this exact thing. And that's one of the reasons I'm reviewing this, is because I think it occupies a niche that has been missing in 9th Ed. If you watch a lot of my rambles and fevered rantings, you'll know that I think there's a difference between sort of pick-up play, which is what I would probably call match play, and tournament play / competitive play. I think this is pick-up play. I think this is, you're going to have a random game with either someone you know or someone you've just arranged a game with at a local club, and you want it to be more casual, because this appeals to me. I would actually play this. Sort of the matched play rules shenanigans aside, and my own preferences for the way I deal with command points and all that sort of stuff, ignoring that, I would actually play this. It looks like fun. And that's what I think this is. I think this is, because there's a significant random element to this, I don't know that this would appeal to serious tournament types. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's inaccurate. I don't know. I'm not a serious tournament type, so I'm not the best person to comment on that. Maybe you are. Drop me a comment in the video below. Tell me what you think. But this is, it's a little bit like the Open War deck, except it's less open. What do you get when you get a cat lying on all the cards that you've laid out to be really super efficient? Okay, so one thing you get is you get 6 of these. These push-out cardboard objectives. Really handy if you don't have anything like this yourself. Again, I have ones I use, but if I didn't, I wouldn't be averse to these at all. I think they're a good include in the deck. And you get 1, 2, 3, like 5 or 6 different things. You get 3 mission decks, 2 secondary decks, and a new stratagem. So, you should see it. Look, I'm trying to work here, and this is what I have to put up with. Never work with children, animals, or bullets. That's what they say. That's a very obscure reference. So, when you, there's a rule pullout, and it does explain everything. It's got all the match play verbiage, so it's 10 little sides, and it accounts for all the how to set up and who has preference in this scenario, and there's a lot of verbiage to it. It does in 10 sheets what the Open War deck does in 4. But from reading through it, it seems to be fairly comprehensive. It doesn't seem to leave anything out. So what do you get? You get 6 deployment cards. Oh, sorry, So when you start the game, it tells you exactly what stage in the process to do this. But basically, you draw a card from the deployment deck, from the primary objective deck, and from the mission rule deck. I like those. They're very random. They're very cool. And the number of objectives you place on the table depends on the size of game you're playing. This is designed for the 1,000 point games and the 2,000 point games. Yeah, it's designed for those. So you get these mission types. Some of these ones are pretty self-explanatory. In fact, you probably recognise some of the names. Dawn of War, Hammer and Anvil, lengthways, corners, front on. And then there's a few variants. One that gets you near the centre, table quarters, and then a sort of hazard strike one. These are pretty cool. The primary missions have found their way under a cat. All right, let me just. Can I just get the thing with the thing? The thing. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So there are also 6 primary missions. And it all says do this in the first, second, and fourth battle round. So it's, so you don't score points in the first round. It tells you what to do in the 5th battle round, depending on whether it's a pointy scorey thing that if you're going first or second, it says do stuff differently. But what's different about them for me is the fact that the objectives are placed differently in each game. They're not in preset positions. And I'll give you a couple of examples. So, claim the battlefield. In the second, third, fourth rounds, 5 points if you control 1 objective. Another 5 points if it's 2 objectives. On this one, there's no more than your opponent. You get 2 points for each objective marker that's currently claimed by their army. Then you have a claim objective action at the bottom. If one or more of your units from your army with the infantry keyword or with OBSEC can perform this action at the end of your movement phase, it must be in range of a different objective you control. The action is completed at the end of your turn. If successfully completed, that objective marker is claimed by your army. It is unclaimed if your opponent controls it at the start of any phase. So you sort of leave your towel on objectives and you gain 2 points for each one at the start of the round. If your opponent moves onto it, he removes your towel and then they have to spend an action to put their towel on it. So it's not quite so prescriptive. Then we have another one, direct assault. And again, we have the 1, 2 objectives. Slightly different. 4 points for 1 objective, 4 points for 2 or more, another 4 points for more than your opponent. And in every battle round, you gain 2 points if one of these conditions in every turn. 2 points if one of these conditions apply, and 3 if they both do. You control at least 1 objective marker that you did not control at the start of your turn, so you've got to move on and capture objectives. And if you destroyed an enemy unit that was in range of an objective at the start of their turn. So, your turn. It says their turn, but in the context of the way this is written, it means your turn, I think. So there's points to be gained there from actually pushing on to objectives. What else we got? Yeah, it's that sort of thing. The others are there's a lot of verbiage to read, but they're not bad. They're not bad when you get your head around them. They're all right. Certainly no worse than the verbiage in some of the other stuff. Now these I love. And do you know what? I'm going to go through all of these. These are mission rules. These are like the twists from the open war deck. Hello, my little co-host. I think I'm going to go through all this. I'll start and see what happens. So it's an extra set of rules that apply to the game. So this one, sweep and clear. if you control an objective marker, when you move off it, you still control it, even if you haven't got any models in range of it in a subsequent phase. Nice. Supply lines. You only receive your command points each turn if the objective marker in their deployment, if you control the objective marker in your deployment zone. Most of these say you've got to put... no, it's a general thing. It's a general thing. Sorry, I thought it was on the mission. It isn't. You must have one objective wholly within each deployment zone, and the remaining objectives must be in no man's land. Pall of Dread. In this mission, you cannot... Neither player can use the Insane Bravery stratagem. Secret Intel. You only receive your command points each turn if your warlord is on the battlefield or if they are embarked on a transport that is on the battlefield. Scrambler Fields. Lots of words. Long story short, you can't use any kind of special rule that lets you deploy or redeploy or come on reserves within range of an objective. You can't reposition onto objectives. Hidden Supplies. In this mission, the players must set up one additional objective marker, hence 6. Because it's 4 in Incursion and 5 in Strike Force. Chilling Rain. In this mission, no special rules apply. Warp Lightning Storms. At the start of every psychic phase, each player must roll a d6 for each of their units that is in range of one or more objective markers. On a 1, that unit suffers a mortal wound. Delayed Reserves. You've got to roll a 3+ to be able to bring a reserve unit on. You get to add 1 to it if it's battle round 3 or higher. Vox Static. Command point reroll. What's that? Command point reroll costs 2 CP to use. Tactical Reserves. The command points you've got to spend to place your army, to place units into reserve is halved, so you can use more reserves. Maelstrom of Battle. Draw 2 new cards and apply them both. Very like the twist from Open War. And I like them. This is... None of this is... I mean, none of the primaries are... None of the deployment maps are silly. None of the primary missions are silly. They've all got an objective claiming bit and a extra bit. You have to have one objective in your deployment zone and one in your opponent's and the rest in no man's land. They're not in a preset pattern where you all have to walk to the middle of the board and just fight to the death. So I like this. I might actually have a go at playing this. Now, secondary objectives. In the deck, you get 2 identical, apart from the colour on their back, secondary objective cards. And if you played 8th Ed Maelstrom of War, you'll be familiar with this mechanic. Each turn, you draw 3 cards. And when you complete each one, if you've got less than 3 cards, if you've got less than 3, you draw up to 3. So you've always got 3 in your hand each turn. None of the weird, it either goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or scales down, or it's just 2, or none of that. 3 a turn. I don't know about the rest of you. Did most of us just used to play draw 3? I used to play draw 3. And I've just realised I've shuffled. No. Lemmy did that. Don't. Yeah. Anyway, and each one that you complete is 5 points. So you can score 15 points a turn on your secondaries. They don't all... Well, they all happen at different times. It says on the card when it happens. There are also 2 new stratagems called New Orders. Spend a command point, ditch a secondary, draw another one. When your deck runs out, it runs out. If you draw something that can't be achieved on the first turn, you shuffle it back into the deck. Well, you draw another one, then shuffle it back into the deck. And let me give you a taste for what there is. Capture enemy outpost. The secondary mission is achieved at the end of your turn if you control the objective marker in your opponent's deployment zone. Storm hostile objective. This secondary mission is secured at the end of your turn if either of the following are true. You control one or more objectives that were controlled by your opponent at the start of the turn. Your opponent did not control any objective marker at the start of the turn, and you control the objective marker in your opponent's deployment zone. Secure no man's land. Achieved if you control 2 or more markers in no man's land. Then there's a thing about what you do if you've only got 1 unit left in your army. Extended battle lines. Control 1 in your zone and 1 in no man's land. Defend stronghold. You achieve at the end of your opponent's next turn or at the end of the battle, whichever happens first. Cannot be achieved during the first battle round. If you control the objective marker in your own deployment zone at the end of your opponent's next turn. So do you remember the old defend objective? It's back. Attempting target. When this secondary mission is generated, your opponent must identify 1 objective marker in no man's land. The secondary mission is achieved at the end of your turn if you control the identified objective marker. There's also a bunch of others that... See if some of these names sound familiar. I'm not going to read them out, but I am going to tell you the names. Overwhelming firepower. Blood and guts. No prisoners. No retreat. No surrender. The really nice thing is you buy 1 box and you get both decks. The decks have identical cards in them, so you're both on a level playing field. There aren't, as it stands, any faction-specific cards, which there were with Maelstrom in 8th. I quite like this. This has some promise. There's a lot of words, but they are all on cards. So similar to if you're one of the people like me who struggles with all the verbiage in match play, the fact that they're on cards and you're not trying to sift it out of a book, I don't know why that makes a difference to me, but it does. Then you can sort of digest them a little bit. You go, right, okay, hang on, what does this mean? Investigate site. This mission is achieved when a unit from your army completes the investigate site action. 1 unit from your army can start to perform this action at the end of your movement phase if it's wholly within 6 inches of the centre of the battlefield. This action is completed at the end of your turn, provided the unit attempting is still within 6 inches. Wholly within. Wholly within! Do we normally have wholly within in 9th in 40k? I thought that was an AOS thing. Interesting. And there are no enemy units wholly within 6 inches of the centre of the battlefield. Bring it down. When it's first generated, your opponent must identify a model from their army in the battlefield that has the highest wound characteristic. So some of these are secondary objectives from 9th Ed that I don't think, from what I gather, I don't think they get used very often. So Investigate Site is one that I've never seen. I used it in one of the very few match play games I had against the Claw. Bring It Down, I am aware of, that being a secondary from the core book. Raise Banner. Raise Banner? One is achieved when a unit from your army completes the following action. 1 unit that has the infantry keyword or the obsec ability can start to perform a section in any movement phase and is within range of an objective in no man's land that you control. The action is complete at the end of your turn, providing the same unit is still within range of the same objective marker. So there's a mix. There's a mix. This could be quite interesting. I look forward to having a go. And on that happy note, quick shout out to all my supporters and channel members for your ongoing support towards the hobby dream. You guys are awesome. Yeah, see you in the next one. Bye for now.